It's something that,
Well,
that clearly is an issue in the state, so thank you.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, we're going to now go back to constitutional law attorney David Coale. Kind of interesting with that tweet from Beto O'Rourke coming out saying that Texas will win political power and overcome this decision. Your thoughts on that bold claim?
Well, I don't know how to evaluate the end of that, what he thinks will happen, but in the process of getting there, it's going to be a big campaign issue. People are going to run for this locally, statewide, and when they run for national office, they're going to say that's what they're going to take to Washington. It's become debatable in a way that it hasn't been debatable politically for the last 50 years. This is where the courts had it off the table. Now everybody has to make a decision about it. If Beto O'Rourke or Greg Abbott or whoever thinks they've got an angle to work with the electorate, power to him. Justice Kavanaugh said that in the oral argument in this case. He believes the Constitution is neutral. This is something for legislatures to deal with, and that's how legislatures deal with things. Their constituents campaign.
Chief Justice John Roberts, a guy who, as we've talked about many times before, tries to play kind of a moderating role, especially with the new, more influential and powerful conservative majority. He said he would have stopped short of completely ending the right to abortion. And this was a law in Mississippi that did not ban abortion. It banned abortion after 15 weeks of pregnancy.
Yes. I mean, Chief Justice Roberts has been lonesome over the last year in these abortion cases. In the SB 8 litigation in the fall about the Texas private attorney general law, he wrote a clever opinion that was sort of given everybody a little bit of everything. Nobody joined it. Here it's a 5-4, 5-3 opinion. He's writing a concurrence. Nobody joined him. So his style of compromise building and trying to leave a little precedent on the books is just out of date. It's not what the conservative majority of this court is doing and is interested, I think, in continuing to do in this area of constitutional law.
Yeah, and the 6-3 majority is certainly much more emboldened. I mean, we saw that on the New York gun law. They,
yes,
in a way, went beyond what they were asked to do. In this case, in the Mississippi abortion case, the conservative majority went even beyond what they were asked to do in the pleading.
Yes and no. I mean, the issue, the law in Mississippi, correct, wasn't a complete ban on abortion, but the reason why it was constitutionally problematic was because of the framework set up by Roe versus Wade. So the most limited way of dealing with the case, if you didn't like Roe, would be to say, well, we're going to do something with this particular restriction. We're going to leave Roe. We're going to have yet another balancing test because we need another one after Casey. But going beyond that and saying, look, the problem here is not the test, it's the underlying rule of law. That's principled, even if it is a broader basis for decision. Of course, these are judicial conservatives that make up this 6-3 majority, 5-4 majority of the U.S. Supreme Court. Historically, conservatives go for the most limited ground possible, as in Justice Roberts' concurring opinion. That's not where we are right now in Washington, though, with this group of judges.
Are you surprised by the justices stepping out and kind of making their opinion known?
Oh, I'm not. What people thought about Roe has been the worst kept secret in Washington for the last few years. I mean, you can look at the track records of these people nominated to the Supreme Court, and you can tell what they think about the structure of the Constitution. They can say they believe Roe is stare decisis. They can say they'll keep an open mind. All of that is literally true, but philosophically, we've known these folks were opposed to Roe and the reasoning behind it since the get-go. I'm not surprised to see the opinion. I'm a little surprised to see it at the breadth that it was, the going directly to Roe in the broad general terms it was written in, but not really. This has been apparent for some time.
And just a few minutes ago, and you were hopefully listening when we talked with Mimi Swartz from Texas Monthly, and I don't think even a conservative, I don't think an opponent of Roe v. Wade or an opponent of abortion rights would disagree that this will have a disproportionate effect on women of color and poor women in this country, because wealthy women or women with means and support systems in place are going to still have the ability to get an abortion. Poor women may not.
No, it's an unfortunate effect of this. I think it was generally considered that was the case before Roe. I think it's been what we've seen during the period of time SB 8 has been in place, although I'm not sure that's been fully developed, but there's no getting around that. It's going to have that disproportionate impact. And in some states, there's some talk about trying to go a step further than this and make illegal, criminalize, have civil penalties for helping people travel out of state, that sort of thing, which of course would further impact people that can't just hop on a plane in the airport somewhere. And so there's going to be a socioeconomic and perhaps other sorts of adverse social disparity to this. That's too bad, but it's something we're going to have to fix at the legislatures and the state house because it's now a political issue.
And as far as the next election goes, there's a good chance we're going to see more voters, more people turning out.
On both sides.
Exactly.
Yes. No, I think you're going to see a lot of people, which is good. It's good to see people energized and wanting to vote. It's unfortunate they're doing it because they're angry, but you're going to see people that are proponents of abortion rights that want to see people elected to Washington who will take action in Congress to sort of by congressional enactment do something similar to Roe. You'll see people at the state courthouse on both Republican and Democratic sides, some wanting to not take full advantage of the freedom that you now have after this opinion, others wanting to take it to the nth degree, get out there in front on the very aggressive defense of the right to life and so forth. It's going to be wide open in all the states that want to consider it.
Yeah, and it'll be fascinating to see what I mean, many abortion clinics in several states have effectively shut down. They have not been taking new patients. The question is whether they will pivot to providing women's health care, prenatal care for women who do get, may or do get pregnant.
No, it's going to be a challenge. I mean, obviously, you can't do something that's illegal. How close to that line can you get? And then you've got the overlay, you have the criminal issues that are going to come up now with Roe having been overruled. SB 8 is still out there and private civil enforcement mechanisms. So if you're setting up some sort of health thing where you're providing assistance that's basically encouraging people to go out of state or in some way facilitating access to abortion indirectly, you still have legal liability issues to think through. So it's going to be a challenging time. The closer you get to that line, the more litigation you're going to have to deal with. And
there's a lot of women who I think are furious when we're saying, for the woman who gets pregnant, where there's nothing, the man who took just as much, he was
right.
Half of it as well. They're not held accountable for anything.
We get it. These are parts of our government that we kind of look the other way at unless we happen to be involved in them. But the foster care system, issues like this about child support, we've had something in place for a while and been kind of able to live with it. But a lot of people are going to want new scrutiny on that, even though those are painful, awkward areas for us to get into. But we're going to have discussions about them because lots of people are going to need the involvement of government, the assistance of people for this to not be a big problem for our society.
David Coale, constitutional law attorney, we appreciate your time as always.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.